Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Divya. How are you? Just sharing up to groups right now. Give me one moment and I'll be right with you guys. Just want to make sure not to mess this up. What are you doing, bud? Hmm? Hmm. I'm tired today. Tired today. I woke up this morning and there was this like fog over the lake. It's starting to burn off, but it was gray and like misty and foggy and I'm trying to wake up. Need some coffee, I think. Thank you for sharing, Divya. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're all shared out. How are you guys? Hey, Ducky, good morning. I know it's Friday the 13th. Ducky's reminding us it is Friday the 13th. I forgot about that. I just noticed that on the calendar. It's funny. We had all of those crazy cards yesterday. Um, so, especially with that death card. And then Friday the 13th coming up behind it. Wow! No, it's tonight. There is going to be a charming. We're making what's the word I want to say? We're recycling a flyer today that you'll see posted in the groups um, for tonight's charming event. So keep on the lookout for that. That'll be tonight. Times will be on the flyer. If you want to come to the charming, you certainly can. Charmings are $25. There will be free card pulls in between charmings. If you want to make a reservation, you can use the Engelgeist Linktree link that I put into the chat. That's available to you. What is going on? You see that? Awake and yeah, spooky. LOL. Yeah, it was weird. It was really misty this morning and gray and cold outside. I took the dogs out. It was like, so definitely a good Friday the 13th moment and morning. So I'm putting that link tree link back in there just so you guys can see it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. My name is Dan. This is Engelgeist. This is my channel. And this is my morning daily forecast that I give you guys every day. It's a group reading for anybody that watches, or the intention is anybody that watches and those that tune in later throughout, time immemorial, right? So this is available to you as a something to think about, something to look at, something you may want to be sort of concentrating on for today to sort of help you reach your highest good. At least that's how I intend it. So it helps me to sort of give readings to as many people as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible, right? Because that's the culture we live in. And so that's what we're trying to do here. It also gives me an opportunity to show you guys a little bit about who I am, get a feeling of my personality, and see if possibly you're interested in getting a reading with me at some point later. Good morning, Andrew. How are you? Seeing any interesting number sequences? So, yeah, ways you can support the channel. Give me a like, a share, a comment, a subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist333. That's new. And just tune in every day. Join the group, or join the group here every morning, and interact. Come to the Charmings, do whatever. Play Misty for you, exactly. Yeah, it was playing Misty for me for sure. So let's get to the breath work that we do every morning. I got to figure out a way to sort of either get you guys doing your own breath work before you tune in, or I mean, y'all know how to breathe, right? Right. Just checking. Uh, so we take 3 breaths, right? That's the concept. We breathe in new, fresh, positive energy in through our nose, sucking it deep down into the belly, holding it for a few seconds while we allow that oxygen to permeate our bloodstream and our brain, bringing us into the present moment, bringing our conscious attention onto our present moment body. And as we exhale that breath, we want to be releasing anything that's outdated, that's no longer working for us, that we don't need, right? And as we release that, we sort of give thanks to the body, then the mind on the second breath, and the spirit on the third. Okay? And you'll hear me say emanate a light, just allow a white light that's within you to sort of shine out, right? To sort of emanate out. Mine emanates from my heart chakra. Yours can emanate from wherever you feel like you want it to emanate from. There might be information in that emanation. Oh my God, there's information in that emanation. So, I'm a poet and I don't know it. Get step back, Dr. Seuss. Anyways, so there's stuff that you can learn from where that light comes from. I believe this. This is just my own personal information of what I'm sort of feeling about that. Like if you're emanating from your third eye, or you're emanating from your heart, or from your solar plexus, there's information there to be had. Learn about your chakras and study what those chakras represent. And ask yourself intuitively, why am I emanating from there? What is my light trying to tell me? Is my spirit trying to give me a message? These are fun things that you can do in meditation. But this is the beginning steps of getting you to meditation if you're very, very new to all of it. Do this with a sense of ease and grace. Don't try and force it, guys. It's not worth it. It is worth it, but it's not worth it. If you get into effort or worry or fear, just relax and continue to breathe, right? If you feel like you're like, oh my God, I need to do this, I don't see. Don't worry, it will happen when it's right. Just know that you're settling into your body in this present moment and finding gratitude for all the components of who you are as a spiritual, physical, and mental being, and emotional being too, okay? I believe that when we honor all 3 of those, we're also honoring and giving gratitude to the emotional body, which is sort of where the 3 kind of converge. Or certainly the emotional body has effects over all the 3. I believe that the emotional body is really how the spirit speaks to us too, or speaks through us in a lot of regards. Not like when we're really pissed off and being like, fuck you, like that's not really spirit. When we're feeling stuff, it can be a definite signifier from spirit as to what's going on deep inside of us, okay? When we're at fuck you, that's generally the mind and the ego at work. But that's where, see, the emotions meet both the mind, they meet the spirit, and they meet the body. We can feel our emotions, or our emotions, if they stay bottled up and stuck within us, they can also affect our body at a physical level over a period of time, where we end up with health issues and things like that. So, that being said, I don't know why I said it, but that being said, let's get into the breathing today. I like to place a hand on my heart, just to kind of bring my attention right here, to bring it in from yesterday or last week, bring my attention back, even in the future, if I'm worrying about anything in the future, bringing my attention back right here to the center of my head. And let's take in that first breath through the nose, and we're going to hold at the top of the breath. So join me and inhale, and hold, emanate that light, let it spread out over your body. Intent for your chakras to adjust to optimum spin for today, whatever you need, with ease and grace. And release that breath. Letting go of anything that's unneeded. Saying thanks to the body for everything that it does for us. Even if we have preconceived notions about our body, or we struggle with our body, just being in gratitude for it in the state that it's in right now, in this very moment. Let's take in that second breath and hold. Emanate that light and allow your chakras to sort of come into alignment and ease with one another. Releasing that breath, letting anything go at the mental level. Any thoughts, worries, fears that we may have, don't worry, we can go back into them later in the day if we choose to. And giving thanks to the mind for all that it does for us. Even for the fear and the worry, right? Even if that stuff drives us crazy at times, it's there for a reason. It's there to show us. It's trying to help us. It's trying to keep us safe, right? We don't necessarily have to always entertain it, but it's there. So just being grateful for it. Seeing that mind and that body, those energies or those components of ourselves becoming, like coming together and in support of one another, connecting and giving gratitude and thanks in between each other, towards each other, right? Inequality. Let's take in that third breath. And hold. Emanate that light out past your body if you can, out into your aura. Any last minute adjustments to your chakras, adjust your triangle. If you don't know what your triangle is, go watch previous videos of mine and release that breath. Really letting go of anything that's outdated, that no longer serves us, that we no longer need, that belongs to anyone else other than us. And giving thanks to the Spirit. Being in gratitude to our Spirit for all the things that it does for us, both known and unknown. Bringing that Spirit in line with that mind and that body. Seeing the three coming together in support, in grace and ease, in gratitude for each other, in equality. All three are on equal footing. All three are being acknowledged and being appreciated and being utilized in an even and balanced way, right? They each get attention, they each get love, they each get gratitude. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Good morning, Rose. Good morning, Jen. So, welcome to the 13th, Friday the 13th. I should know that. I shouldn't even have to look at the calendar, but it is Friday the 13th. Yesterday's reading was kind of buck wild, if I do say so myself. We're going to see what happens today. I swear to God. I don't know if I need you guys to watch me shuffle. Like, just because that card keeps showing up. That wheel will start to shuffle. Spirit, please give us the card that's best going to represent the information that we need for today. Friday the 13th, 2019, December. For those of us that are watching live now and at any point in time in the future, what do we need to know? What's going to serve our highest good? Where do we need to focus our energy today? What do we need to be made aware of? The charming is not filled up for tonight, Jen Nichols. So the charming is available to you. I don't think I have any reservations as of this time. So if you want to be the first one on the books, that's great. I would love it. So just, you can make a reservation. And just in the notes of the reservation, send me what you want your charming to be on. And I will put you on the list right out of the gate. And it will also put your name. Your name is in the drawing for the mediumship reading from previous, just because you've sent me decks and things from the Amazon wish list. But if you purchase a charming, I will enter another entry in there. If you win both of the drawings, because I'm trying two, if I happen to pull your name twice, you will only read one. You will only win one reading, but I'll let you gift the other reading to somebody if you want. If that works for you. The mediumship reading. I'm just really shuffling these cards, guys. Good morning, Pat. I know, Rose is like, I'm so excited to see what's in store for today. These are people, for those of you that are watching on Facebook, these are my YouTube viewers. I'm excited too. I'm a little nervous, Rose, but I'm hoping that it's changing today. We'll see. As was just saying that yesterday's reading kind of had me, as the kids say today, shook. Uh, Not in a bad way, just in a like sort of like, wow, Spirit's really trying to drive home this message. And that's okay. Sometimes the release and some of the things that we were talking about yesterday, they take a minute. We need to be gracious to ourselves and kind to ourselves and allow ourselves that process, right? Hey Karen, how are you? Have a great day. Alright, here we go, guys. I'm going to switch the camera. Oh, shut up! I'm serious. Like, this is crazy. This is fucking nuts. This is not possible. Alright, I'm not even describing this card today because I've gone over this card the last 3 days. So I do not know what is going on here, guys. Well, hello from the other side, Jen Nichols. This is weird. I will change camera angles so that you guys can see that I am shuffling these cards. I'm sitting here at the desk. There's like a ton of cards here. This card is back. This is so weird. What is going on? I'm just going for another card. Like, what are we stuck on, people? This is kind of spooking me a little bit. Not spooking me, but like, because I trust Spirit, and it's not about that. It's just this is like ridiculous. Oh my god. Alright, so let me just go back to this card. I don't know what to tell you guys. I feel like I've read the shit out of this card over the last few days. It's got me so like weirded out. I keep closing windows and shutting down the video, like the video window. This is weird. My hands are shaking a little bit. It's definitely trying to tell us something, Pat. Like, definitely trying to tell us something. Alright, so I just want to like do... And the funny thing is we pulled so many cards yesterday that I didn't write them down on the calendar today for yesterday. Because, alright, here's the next card. Okay. Well, that's something different. Alright, this is coming to a change, I feel like, as I look at these two cards. I want one more card, I know that right now. Hold on, just give me one more minute. I want one more card right here in the center before we get any further into this reading for today. Because I know that there's going to be one more card. That tree, that Two of Wands that I'm seeing right now, that's the tree that we were talking about 2 Sundays ago. This is the new growth about to happen for us. This is that Ace of Pentacles from yesterday. This is that manifestation on a physical level. The Two of Wands is the spiritual growth that takes place after the release of this grief of the Nine of Swords. Does that make sense to you guys? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? If you remember last Sundays, we had that... I feel like it was the Eight of, was it the Eight of Wands? Was the Purpose card, which was that tree that was barren with all of the bird's nests on it. And I was, when this first showed up 4 days ago, I was talking about how this is somewhat a part of that tree. Maybe there's some aspect of us being barren or exposed or down to our nitty-gritty at the end of this year, at the end of this decade, as we look at things in reflection, as we release those things, those thoughts, those ideas, as we really start to set them free or release ourselves, allow Spirit in, which would be representational of this bird, to possibly unhook us, or even friends, family members, whatever. If there's people that we need to sort of let in to give us assistance, I feel like we're coming to a close with this card. That's what I feel like with this Two of Wands. Watch, this card shows up tomorrow. I'm going to be telling lies today. But this Two of Wands, Wands being the element of fire and spirit, says to me that there is some growth that's happening at the spiritual level if we just trust it and believe it. Okay, wow. Okay. All right, so let me get into this. I just want to show you guys the card immediately. So I'm going to lay this card down for just a minute while I talk about these first two, and then this is the third card. So let me get my wand. All right, so we all know this card. This card has been with us for the last 3 days. And this card, like I've said it repeatedly. I'm going to say it again to the noobs that are in the room that don't necessarily know what's going on. If you want to understand the magnitude of this card, go back and watch the last 3 days of forecasts on my channel. It's kind of spooky, okay? I would go back and watch the entire week of the channel, but even including last Sundays, so you fully understand what's being painted here for the regulars, for my regular viewers. But the tree that we saw, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday previous, this is that branch of that tree. There's some certain thoughts, there's some certain things that we're coming to completion on. We're very, very close. It's this card, the word on the bottom of this card is grief, right? Where's our sadness? Where's our grief? Where do we feel hung up? What do we need to let go of before we enter into 2020? What do we need to sort of be free of and like sort of take out of our path? How do we need to allow spirit in? The spirit being this sort of bird that can kind of pick this mouse up by the scruff and fly us right off to wherever we need to go. As we do that, as we do this work, and like I said, just joking this morning about how sometimes this work takes a little time and to give yourself that grace, again, we see this card again, which says to me, this is also spirit saying, don't worry. I'm hearing this in my head, don't worry, baby. It just takes a little bit of time, but the work that you're doing is real, right? And working with your thoughts and working with your, the more thorny side of your being, so to speak, it's going to come to a completion. And from that becomes this beautiful Two of Wands, which is this beautiful sort of tree. And twos always make me think of communion, of relationships, the deepening of those relationships, the reconnection of those relationships. Now, this does not necessarily feel like a deepening with somebody outside of ourselves. This to me feels like the deepening of the relationship to ourselves spiritually, right? And I feel like, again, this position, this card that shows up in this position, like yesterday's where it was that Ace of Pentacles, I felt like this card, the Ace was coming in the future and this is coming in the future. I feel like this is where we're heading, guys. After having done this work and reached this completion around this work, we become this beautiful, strong tree again. We get our leaves back. We get our sort of adornment back. We get our belief in ourselves back. We also get to choose our path in a more, and we might, the fact that there's more than one tree here sort of splitting off, to me says that we might have more than one option and be able to like sort of indulge in both. Because we're all the more capable, we're all the more stable, we're all the more centered and grounded in this card from having gone through this experience. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope it does. Now this next card, because I felt like there needed to be a third card, is the Chariot. Again, major arcana, so there's a lot of energy to this card, right? These always pack a bigger punch. They have more meaning. They have more shift or change to them. The dragonfly is a definite symbol of spirit, guys, right? And again, we have 3, 1, 2, 3, which there's been a theme with the mind, body, spirit connection in all of these cards for me lately that I've been seeing. And so, to me, this is the alignment of the mind, body, and spirit on some level. You could interpret this card like that, and the fast forward movement of that and that awareness, of that consciousness, of holding that consciousness and moving ourselves into 2020 with that clear consciousness, with that deepening of relationship to our spirit. This spirit could be our, if you look really closely, there's actually a third trunk. There's one trunk and 2 trunks, I think, or maybe it's just the highlight on the trunk, but to me it appears as if there's 3. Like we could have the mind, the body, and the spirit all growing as one in the same direction, in beauty, in harmony, in grace, all of those things that we do the breath work around in the morning, right? That deepens our sort of relationship to ourselves spiritually. It empowers us at a very deep level, right? And so, to me, as I'm looking at this Chariot card says that whatever we might be hung up on right now, or whatever we might be dealing with right now, anything that may cause us sadness, grief, um, uh, sad thoughts, or thoughts that like just sort of lower our vibration. Uh, how do I want to say this? Like, pay attention to them, but don't necessarily um, get stuck in them, right? Remember to be more like the bird, where you can sort of look at them, acknowledge them, release them, and fly off. This is that flight, right? This is that taking of that flight. This is that sort of metamorphosis of the spirit and the awareness of all three components, and bringing the three together and flying in sort of tandem. And flying quickly towards our next decade, towards our next set of goals, towards our next set of desires. The chariot always has fast moving energy. The chariot is always like sort of this wonderful directness and how do I want to say it, like assertiveness. The chariot sometimes represents the idea of celebration, or how you would see a chariot in a parade, right? And somebody being brought down or being acknowledged in that way. This to me, with the dragonflies on it, feels like us acknowledging our spirit from a very strong, and also like the mind, the body, and the spirit, and the connection between the three, the divinity of that connection, honoring that connection and using that connection to sort of push ourselves through the rest of this year and into next. And really, what does that sort of set us up for? And when I look at this chariot card, it says to me that it can set us up for quite a bit, right? Where the energy will move quickly, changes will happen smoothly, things will almost maybe move so fast that we feel a little bit like, for some of us, it might feel a little bit uncomfortable. Myself, I like to control stuff and keep the pace slow. So I'm only saying that from my own perception, is that this chariot could be such a fast moving energy that it might be like, whoa, some of us might lean into it and feel really high about it, right? And excited about it. But for those of you, today is the day that we get to maybe move forward away from this Nine of Swords card. Today is the day where we get to really deepen that relationship in that Two of Wands card. I feel like that Two of Wands card, though, is more about a long-term goal, though. It may begin today for some of you, but to me, I feel like this is a growth that continues to happen throughout the rest of this month and into next year. It's not just for today, is what I'm hearing. This chariot energy also may not just be for today, but today may be the day that we actually start. I'm hearing like, that buzzing forward, like the dragonfly, like moving forward with a sort of a skill, an agility, a grace, and allowing the conscious sort of the strength of the conscious awareness of our mind, body, and spirit to work together to propel us forward in the pursuit of spirit, or our connection to spirit. Thus, this Two of Wands card starts to come into play. We start to rebloom again, or our tree starts to have leaves and feel connected, right? So now let me go to the song of my heart. It is really weird, is it not? Lori, for those of you that can't see, Lori Hill Mallet says, I'm working on closure. I feel my daddy heavy, like, wow. And then she says, I'm in tears. This is so weird. It's not weird, honey. Feel those tears. That's this grief card. We need to feel those tears wherever we may have them. I was on the phone this morning crying with Ducky. Like, this is part of where we need to release our grief wherever it exists. If we have fears, I certainly have my own fears. Ducky's familiar with them. Ducky has her own fears around certain situations in her life. We all have our sadnesses, or our places where we get caught up or pinned down and feel like we maybe can't do it, or are we doing it correctly? It's okay, right? We don't want to take this stuff in with us into 2020. That's what this is feeling like to me. That's what this card is saying to me. We get a couple more weeks of this month, and it is, I want to say, the significance of winter is this is the time to get introspective. This is the time to get quiet and into our thoughts. This is the time when nature goes dormant and goes inward, and as should we, right? If we follow those cycles of nature, because we are part of that whole, we are part of nature, right? I think sometimes, and this is a little bit more broader of a spectrum statement, but I think sometimes we as human beings, we forget that we are part of the natural world. We forget that we sort of manipulate it, cultivate it, make it work for us. So we are sort of somewhat masters of it in a way, but yet there's so much we still don't know, right? And there's so much that we can learn from nature. And so that's part of the reason why I love these two decks working together. I feel like it's sort of nature meeting us back and going, hey, be like the dragonfly today, or be like this tree, and pare it down, keep it simple, and allow yourself to feel that grief. Don't label it as weird. I think it's a little bit weird that this card has shown up for 4 days, but I think that this card is definitely driving home this message that any last minute hang-ups, any last minute thoughts, any last minute sadness that we can address and let go of, do so, right? I want to say this, for anybody that's watching this either now or in the future, if there is last minute sadness, or if there is stuff that you are hung up on and you don't necessarily feel as though you can get free of it, I just want to say this, that's okay. I don't want you guys to take 4 cards in a row as something that scares you or worries you or makes you feel like, oh my god, if I don't get rid of this before the end of the year, I'm in trouble. It's not about that, guys. This is just an opportunity. This is just spirit showing you that you can do this. If you don't get it done by 2020 and you carry some stuff into 2020 with you, you're going to be fine and you're going to have a great 2020. I don't want you guys to think that there's like a clock ticking. I think that that's sort of my excitement of the blatantness of these cards and spirit really showing up this week to show us sort of what we need to do for ourselves so that we can start to create at this real sort of centered, level where we're taking into account our mind, our body, and our spirit, and really moving forward in that, embracing that, owning that, and moving forward, right? So if some of us take a little while longer with this 9 of Swords card, right, where we're trying to get ourselves unhooked, that's okay. And I just need to acknowledge that and let some of you know that, because some of you might be feeling like, uh-oh, if I don't get this done, if I don't get this processed, that's trust that, how do I want to say this? Trust in yourself, your own spirit, your own body, your own mind, that you will do this in the amount of time that you need, right? Like, don't, because we've seen this card 4 times in a row, do not take this card and create another thorn for yourself in your mind, essentially. Okay, this card is here just to help us along. It's also here 4 days in a row to let us know sometimes some things take a little bit longer, and we all move at a different pace, and that pace is okay for each and every one of us. Wow. So this is a new card to us. I love this card. It says, I trust my instincts. Like the doe, I heed all changes in my environment, allowing me to respond quickly and appropriately. So I love this card. I love this doe is also sort of similar to this tree to me. It's about new rebirth, or being, maybe feeling a little bit vulnerable. We might feel a little bit vulnerable because we have to sort of let ourselves go from some of these old ways of thinking and old patterns of believing to sort of step forward in this idea of moving forward, like this Chariot card, moving forward with our mind, our body, and our spirit, centered and sort of going after it with sort of a directness or I don't want to say relentless, but just like flying directly towards it. This requires us to be responsible, right? This requires us to say, to put out into the universe, I actually want that, I'm ready for that, and I'm willing to go after it at a deeper level, right? This I trust my instincts to me feels like us, maybe we might feel vulnerable around doing this, but I love these flowers that are growing all over this doe. There's a beauty and a strength in that. There is a fragility, right? Because they are flowers, but they're also very beautiful, and they're, to me, sort of giving her that power, giving her that beauty, helping her to understand that even in her, even in our youth, or how do I want to say this? Like the doe to me, this feels like a baby doe in a way,
To me, it feels like we might not necessarily feel like we have all the answers or know all the answers, because these answers that we were working with maybe weren't working for us anymore, right? The thoughts that we were having, or the way that we perceived ourselves in our lives, or whatever that we're letting go of up here in the Nine of Swords, we now feel a little bit vulnerable or young, or have to learn a new way of focusing, or looking at stuff, and that's okay. We trust our instincts, guys. We trust our instincts that we'll know, because spirit is driving us, not only our own spirit, but if we're connected with our mind, body, and spirit together, and in acknowledgement and gratitude of that, that will drive us forward in profound ways and allow us to trust our instincts, and we can learn and grow in the moment, in real time, and also have this deepening and trust of ourselves and our spirit. That's this Two of Wands, right? That's what this doe is sort of growing into. She's being sort of like overtaken by the beauty of those flowers. So let's go to the grounding stone. Wow. So this is on, I believe this might be rose quartz. This is Imagine. Is it going to stand up though? Hold on 1 second. Let me put this back down. Push this forward a little bit. Come on, Heffa. There we go. So, when I think of this, when I think of the word imagine, what is it that we want? Where is it? If we could have like a great next year, what do we imagine that to look like? With no thoughts of stopping us, with no thoughts of, oh, I can't do that because of this, because of that. When we imagine today, when we say, I want to be here by 6 months from now, I want no use of the word but. Because that's what I feel like this Nine of Swords is, oh, I want to be here, but I may not be able to because of this. Or I want to be there, but I want to have that, but no buts today, guys. I want us to imagine today. I want us to imagine from a place of love, from a place of our heart. Yesterday we had that energy and that wisdom stone. And today I think that this is about, using still, the rose quartz also makes me think about the heart chakra again, which is similar to that malachite stone that we saw yesterday with the word energy on it. What we imagine we can kind of put into reality if we sort of put it in our Abraham Hicks calls it the vortex, right? If we put the thought out there, if we put the dreams out there, we can very much sort of begin to create them. But we have to imagine them first. We have to feel the feeling of what they feel like to have, right? If there's something that we're putting on the back burner or something that we want, today would be a good day to start to imagine the reality of that coming to pass without any sort of thoughts that might stop us, or any sort of doubt or worry. Just play in the in the energy of imagination today, and see if that isn't part of your chariot. And what I mean by that is, ask your spirit, what is it that you want for the next year, right? When we ask our spirit, and then we like sort of see how it feels at the body level, and we sort of start to believe it at the mental level without any buts, right? We start to imagine it and play in that, and we trust our instincts, and we, maybe we feel a little bit like we may not know how to get there. That's the youth of this doe, right? That's the sort of the gentleness of this doe. But if we're gentle with ourselves and we use our imagination, and we let go of sort of anything that might be limiting us or stopping us, or belief systems that are outdated and old that we don't need to carry with us anymore, we might actually find ourselves having rather significant impacts on the route that that we take during the year of 2020. Does that make sense? So play in that imagined energy today. Play in that like almost youthful exuberance. That's also this doe a little bit. This doe to me feels a little bit fearful, I have to say. It feels to me a little bit, not fearful in the sense that it just feels like, to me, like this feels like a page card in a way, with like where there's room to learn, and we need to stay optimistic and open, and remember that we can trust our own instincts, even if we don't necessarily always feel totally adept at what we're doing. This is new uncharted territory, but we can move there with a speed and a self-assuredness and a directness that is really powerful with this Chariot card, if we trust ourselves and bring ourselves into balance and trust our instincts and play in that imagination today. Thank you, Lori. Lori says, I'm blown away. Wow, I just love this group, Dan. You rock, moi. Manifest, exactly, Divya. Exactly. And we have the power to do that. And I think that's what this Nine of Swords keeps coming back to remind us, is letting go of any grief, anything that we've carried with us for this last decade. It's time to sort of, just let go of it, be free of it. It no longer serves us. That's the breathing exercise we do every morning. Do that breathing exercise throughout the day today. And trust your instincts. You've got this unlocked, like you really can. Rose says, 2 days in a row of spirit-filled accuracy power punch with significant meaning. Thank you, Dan. Blessings. You're welcome. Jen Nichols says, beautiful time to manifest without self-limiting thoughts. Exactly. Thank you for totally boiling that down into one sentence. I can go now. Yeah, no, this is crazy, guys. This is like really cuckoo. I don't know what else to make of this. Other than, and I have to say too, this Chariot card says to me that there's big outcomes. We're moving on to bigger and better things. And we're beginning that journey today, I think, if we allow ourselves to play in our imagination and do that from the heart. So I am going to switch the cameras. I'm going to go make another cup of coffee. I'm going to go take a breath. I cannot believe that card has shown up 4 days in a row. So bizarre. All right, it's not bizarre. It's a good thing. It's just spirit really trying to drive it home. We get to make the choice, and it's funny too, because like I think all those memes that we've been reading about this moon that we've just this moon cycle that we've just gone through, which is a Gemini moon. It was a Gemini full moon, I believe. Which is, I said this in yesterday's, I think, or the day before, is the element of swords, is the element of air. The sign of Gemini. It's definitely about cleaning up the intellect and the thought, right? And then you look at the memes about, the 12-12 moon and 12-12 portal and all of this stuff. And I love playing in that stuff, but I really do think that there's significance, and I feel like this is spirit sort of meeting us here and reminding us, like, yeah, it is time to clear this stuff away. Don't take it with you into 2020. You don't need to. There's new stuff for us in 2020. It's a year to start to create stability. So we want to shake off anything that might feel unstable or might enable us to question the pursuit of that stability as we move into 2020. And like I said, I do want to drive this home too for those of you that are watching this, even if you're not watching it live right now. If you're watching this later and you're sitting there and you're worried and you're caught up in your fears or your doubts or you're having a hard time, I want you to understand that this doesn't have to be released by 2020 for it to be okay. You're not going to be trapped for a decade in these thoughts again. That's not what I'm feeling. It just feels like Spirit is sort of trying to push home the idea that we have the power to sort of change our focus. We have the power to sort of release ourselves. We have the power to sort of heal ourselves and complete our cycles mentally through our, with our thoughts and our patterns that maybe negate ourselves or our needs or whatever. And we can do that now and expect sort of optimum results as we do that work, even if it feels doubtful or scary for us, right? But if we don't get that work done, I really want to express to you that there's no sort of danger or worry that you need to take on or add to maybe an already full plate that you might have, okay? This Nine of Swords has always, since the first day that we saw it, has always said to me that we are coming into a completion with this stuff. Some of you might take a little bit longer, and that's okay. Allow yourself that time. Know that, you can, like this card, the doe, you can trust your instincts, right?
So if you feel like you need a little bit more time, or you may not, be able to release it all by 2020 or whatever, it's okay. There's no stopwatch ticking down. That's what I want to express to you guys. There's no oh my god, I gotta get it done kind of thing. I don't want there to be that energy. That becomes an energy of fear, an energy of worry. It can become an energy of effort, and those things aren't the best way to release things from, right? We want this to be an ease, embrace, and acknowledgement of ourselves and what we deserve and what we want, and then imagining how that will feel without any second guessing it, without any question. Like this Chariot card says to me, and I'm gonna wrap up here in a moment, but if your spirit could bring to you whatever you wanted in a very quick and easy manner, what would that be? Ask yourself that question. And when you get that answer, imagine, this is the grounding stone today, imagine how that feels. And as you feel that in your body, you're sending out that vibration to the world. And you can trust your instincts, and you can know that that Two of Wands is taking place, where you are bonding with your spirit, and you are growing and becoming stronger and more stable. And then when you feel that, stick with that feeling and keep building on that feeling and keep moving forward and just play in that imagination today, guys. All right, so Rose says, thank you, Dan, for not leaving anyone behind regarding resolving the things that no longer serve us. It's true. I don't want you guys, these are messages from spirit, so I don't want it to create any fear in anybody that's struggling, that's having a hard time, because sometimes we have things that it takes some time, and we're allowed to take time. That's what the 4 days of this card is saying to me, right? We're allowed to take time. And if we don't get it now, we will get it in the beginnings of 2020, when it's time, when it's right for us, when we're ready, right? And that's okay. So I just want everybody to understand that, if even those that might tune in later, right? It's okay. If we have to look at this Nine of Swords card for the next month, we'll do it. It's like, I can only interpret it so many times, but it's definitely driving home that point that I don't want the fact that it keeps showing up. I don't want that to scare anybody that might be paying attention in the background and not raising their hand or saying anything, and then they're going like, oh shit, what if I don't know what's hanging me up? What if I haven't figured it out yet? Or what if I'm still in too much pain or sadness around what's hanging me up? That's okay. Trust your instincts. That's the sort of, to me, and that balance of the mind, body, spirit, just bring that, focus on that as much as you can, and allow yourself your process and trust your instincts. And you'll be fine. No matter what time you let go of your grief or your sadness or your self-negating thoughts or self-critical talk or whatever, it'll all happen when it's supposed to. But part of this Chariot card is having that spiritual faith and trust. That's the Two of Wands also, is having that spiritual faith and trust in your own spirit, that your spirit's not going to drop you. But part of this, how long is this video going to go? I want to say that part of this, these three dragonflies, right, this Chariot card of moving forward with that speed and swiftness, is that we have to acknowledge all three of those things, the body, the mind, and the spirit, and equality, and grace, and connection, and gratitude for one another. We can't value one over the other, right? And what we tend to do as human beings in a society that pumps us full of images and media and fear and all of this sort of stuff, and shoulds and all of that, we tend to lead from the mental plane. We tend to lead from the mind, or athletes lead more from the body, right? But it is about bringing those three into balance with one another, and then allowing the spirit to come through and really sort of carry us without, it's okay if we sometimes doubt. I have it too. I was crying about doubt this morning, trust me. But we can trust our instincts. Okay? So I just want people to know that. Don't sweat. The fact that this Nine of Swords that has shown up 4 times in a row is a beautiful thing, and shouldn't be feared by anyone. Okay? Thank you, Kelly. All right, you guys. Thank you, Kathy, also. I love you too, Lori. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's good to see you this morning. I'm glad that you've been tuning in and watching. Please give this video a like, share, and a subscribe. Those of you that are already subscribed and stuff, you know that. But if you go to YouTube once it's later up and give it a like, thumbs up button, like tap the like, I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps with the algorithms. And that's it, you guys. I'll see you guys tonight at 7:30, I believe, for the charting, and I'll be back on tomorrow morning for the next forecast, and we'll see what these cards have to say to us. This is bizarro. I mean, not bad bizarro, but it's just like this Nine of Swords. We cannot. It will not be denied. All right, you guys. Have a great day. I'm going to sign off, and I will talk to you guys tonight. Bye-bye.